Hey guys, what's up? It's good old JM here, and this will be your WWE No Mercy review 2017 RAW Brand pay-per-view out of the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California. At the timing of this recording, it's about 12 hours removed, and I had to sleep on what I just saw in regards to the quote-unquote double main event that did not happen back-to-back. But it is what it is, I guess, so let's just get right into it and start off with the kickoff show, having Elias, the Drifter, going one-on-one with Apollo Crews. I gotta say, I don't know what their plans are with Apollo Crews and what's going on really with the Titus O'Neil brand, so to speak. I thought it was picking up momentum heading into SummerSlam, but then we saw what happened with the Cruiserweight Championship at that time with Akira Tozawa and Neville. And even then, Apollo wasn't being used as much, not even on Raw. He'll pop up during the Cruiserweight feud of Neville and Tozawa, but that was it. He was just there to show support for his fellow Titus brand companion, if you will. But Apollo Crews is too talented not to be used at all. I'm not saying every single Monday. I'm not saying put him in line for a title match, but at least have him go out there and show off what he's been doing since his NXT days, and for at least the first couple of weeks after he made his main roster debut, and just show off his talent. Just have him go out there and wrestle. But they're not asking me, and I'm not the one writing the show. So anyway, a decent match between the two, Elias and Apollo Crews, and of course Elias gets the win here. Once again, questioning what plans they have for Apollo Crews, and we moved on. The opening match for the pay-per-view itself was the Intercontinental title match between The Miz defending against Jason Jordan. A lot of people expected for Jason Jordan to walk away as champion in this one, considering the build-up from a personal point of view as The Miz mocked Kurt Angle, the alleged real father of Jason Jordan, kayfabe here, and just made fun of him, that Kurt Angle truly did suck, as the fans sing along to his theme music every time he comes out. And as we saw on Monday Night Raw, Jason Jordan couldn't take it anymore and defended his father, as a son should. I just felt that for something as personal as this, and there were a couple of more matches that had real personal issues behind it and going into it, but out of all of them, I think this one had the more personal of the two. Meaning, well, there's someone making fun of your father, and you're the one, the son that is the one that needs to defend his honor. Not to mention take away the championship of said bully. So, what happens? They just have a regular good match between the Miz and Jason Jordan. Maybe a little bit of aggressiveness, show a little vengeful side of Jason Jordan, but that didn't happen during the match. And of course, you have Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel running around, causing distractions left and right throughout the match. Matter of fact, and at no point that they get involved. Only during the actual ending, you have Bo Dallas on one side distracting the ref. Here comes Curtis Axel. Oh my goodness, I can't pronounce his name. Curtis Axel jumps on the apron, punches Jordan in the face, and as he's wobbling, Jordan turns to the Miz, and he gets flattened by the skull crushing finale for the win, and the Miz retains. After the match, Renee Young gets into the ring for an interview, and well, Jason Jordan didn't cut a good promo here. It's not one of his best, but he was just trying to get the point across that he wants a rematch, and it's the Miz that sucks, not his father. And that was it. But you clearly saw who the fans were getting behind of. I think this experimental angle or project, if you will, of Jason Jordan being Kurt Angle's legitimate son is not working. It's not working. It may have been one of those when it first happened, it might have been one of those reactions where, like, okay, we'll see where this goes. But in reality, it's like, yeah, it's not. I'm not buying it. Not to mention, there really isn't that much support storyline wise, where Jordan is getting upset left and right, and he's being mellow about, listen, I want to earn everything. I don't want to be given or handed anything over to me because I'm your son and you're the boss of Raw, so to speak. But even though others like The Miz counter argue that, but it's to me it's just a real bad soap opera. Then again, this is WWE we're talking about, so we'll see if tonight on Raw, if Jason Jordan asks for a rematch, or if Kurt Angle's going to put him in another match to once again earn another title match, or so on and so forth. But we shall see. Moving on, it's the man versus man match. Of all the gimmicks I've heard of, this is man versus man. Take that for what it is or what it's worth. But Finn Balor taking on Bray Wyatt. Just want to point out real quick, since his old jacket was heavily damaged, I think it was ripped on the back during a live event. It was mentioned online it was Bray Wyatt himself, but I'm not entirely sure. But unfortunately, Finn Balor's black leather jacket with the Balor Club logo on the back was ripped somehow on the back. And tonight, or last night I should say, Finn Balor debuted a brand new gray leather jacket with a gray attire. So I thought it looked really cool. It's funny how you can look at a character and he's usually dressed in black most of the time, like Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Rock always wore black. But then you put him in a different shade of color, not necessarily maybe ring attire, but outside, say, street gear, as they say, how different they look in that limelight. And he was no different with Finn Balor, as he wore all gray with a touch of white highlights, I guess, or white touches. But no, just saying, it's a real cool look for him. Finn Balor always has these different, colorful, unique attires every once in a while, and last night was no different. But anyway, both men get into the ring, and while his theme song is still playing and Balor's posing to the crowd, and Bray Wyatt from behind jumps him before the bell even rings. So he gets attacked, he gets thrown around outside, he gets the Uenaga on one of the announce tables at ringside, and Balor's selling his ribs. The match hasn't started yet. The referee's pulling back Bray Wyatt. A few more referees come out. They don't think he's able to continue. So about most of the way up the rampway, I'll say just before the staging area, Bray Wyatt gets on the microphone and basically calls Finn Balor a coward, man enough. Again, man versus man. So Balor takes off the jacket, comes back, heads back down the ramp against referee's orders and wishes. Asks him one last time, "Are you sure?" Like, "Yeah, ring the bell," and here we go. This was a very good match, just as good as the one that they had at SummerSlam. And these two guys are, like always, Finn Balor always has a great match. Bray Wyatt, I'm not sure if it's an issue if they tell him to tone it down, or he takes it upon himself and has, I guess, out of character conversation with Finn Balor and say, "Hey, let's just go out there and steal the show," which I hope was the case, because this is one of the best Bray Wyatt matches I've seen this year, including with the Finn Balor feud that's been ongoing, and this is the third time they've met each other on a pay-per-view. So towards the end, it just took a coup de grace from Finn Balor off the top rope, the double stomp, and got the win here. So as and I really do not like using this phrase or cliche, but the online fans or the internet fans who branded Bray Wyatt as the eater of pins. But yeah, Bray Wyatt took a pinfall loss here, but taking nothing away the fact that it was a great match. And we'll see where this goes. If the feud continues, it really shouldn't. It's one of those. Well, then again, traditionally, the past few years, it's been tradition where you have your trilogy of matches in back-to-back pay-per-views, and then you move on to someone else. But we'll see, because don't know if and surprisingly it didn't show up here, but we don't know if there's any more influence from Goldust or Dustin Reynolds, if he's going to be placed back into this feud, or it's going to be moving on, Bray Wyatt versus Dustin Reynolds, or Dustin Rhodes, or he turns heel and he goes after Finn Balor. But we'll see. Next, we have another great match in the tag team championship match between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins versus the newly christened The Bar. Cesaro and Sheamus challenging for the Raw tag team titles. This probably was the match of the night, or arguably. Very physical, very just very physical. That's the best way to describe it. And I couldn't find too many other fans online that would argue. It's like they enjoyed it. They really popped big for it. And the most common terminology used, like very physical, a good physical match. Well, I'll add one to that as well. A great physical, bloody match. At one point, Cesaro was slingshot into the corner over the turnbuckles into the ring post, and we've seen this before. You know that the one taking the slingshot knows what they're doing, and they normally come out of it unscathed. Unfortunately, it was difficult to tell the first time around, and even with the replays, I don't think they got the proper angles right. But I'm sure there'll be someone from the fans' point of view in attendance got it on their smart devices and will share with the world eventually on YouTube. But Cesaro might have overshot or mistimed his landing into the corner, and unfortunately suffered. At first we thought it was 2, but now they're saying maybe 3 or 4 broken front teeth. And you saw the show. His immediate reaction was just, oh, holy crap! Either my mouth is broken, my jaw dislocated, or something, because he was reaching up as if he was trying to grab on to his face, but since he didn't know what was happening, all he knew that he was bleeding, as we saw. And he just squirted out a few times from his mouth, and the referee immediately put the rubber gloves on, trying to check on him to see if he's okay to continue. And he was. This is one of the reasons why they call him the Swiss Superman. So he continues, and they had a couple of close-ups of his mouth. I'm guessing, I couldn't tell exactly what happened. It looked like it was swollen for sure. His upper lip might have been swollen, and I couldn't tell right away about his teeth, but eventually WWE.com posted up a video of backstage of Cesaro getting stitched up of his upper and lower lip, and once he was cleaned up, he actually smiled for the camera. And what a trooper. He smiled for the camera, and you could see had a better, clearer view of what happened to his teeth. And then later on, Sheamus would go to Instagram and I believe Twitter as well, and there's even much more clearer, closer picture of what happened to Cesaro. But again, what a trooper. I would imagine by later on today he would get that fixed. And we've seen this before with Natalya. She lost her 2 front teeth, and she was all, she was okay with it. I'm sure it hurt as hell, but I believe it was Charlotte that took a picture with her backstage after the fact, and she posted that online. So it was just real humorous to see such a beautiful woman with a smile on her face, but she has 2 front teeth missing. I guess this is karma, even though it's accidental, where Cesaro kicked Jeff Hardy in the mouth, and you literally see Jeff Hardy's tooth fly out. And I guess if you want to look at it that way, that's the best way to do it. A tooth for a tooth, or in this case, a tooth for nearly a dozen. But again, he's okay. As far as the match itself goes, again, very physical. These guys really laid it all on the line here. And at the end, we saw the champions retain. There was nearly a repeated spot. I believe it was from SummerSlam, where Sheamus has Dean Ambrose set up for white noise, and Cesaro was going to jump off the second rope to add more impact, but here comes Seth Rollins, was about to do the repeated spot of doing the Hurricanrana on Cesaro and have him land on Sheamus, releasing Dean Ambrose in the process. Not this time. Cesaro blocked it. Sheamus hits the white nose on Ambrose, and from the second rope, Cesaro drops Rollins onto Ambrose, powerbomb, and got a near fall out of it. And then towards the end, it was like a scramble. Everyone's in the ring, and eventually Cesaro gets tossed out. Sheamus is left in the ring by himself with Seth Rollins. He hits him with the Kingslayer knee to the face. Sheamus turns towards Dean Ambrose, enter with the Dirty Deeds, and gets the 3 count and retains the championships. Great match. Can't say enough about it. In another great match, actually, the Fatal 5-Way, which originally was going to be a Fatal 4-Way, but as of last Monday night, added the returning of Bayley. So she joined Nia Jax, Emma, and Sasha Banks, taking on Alexa Bliss. Fatal 5-Way match, every woman for herself for the Raw Women's title. Yeah, great match. We normally don't see on a pay-per-view anyway, multiple women matches for the title. We'll normally see for number 1 contenderships or elimination matches, but this one, I gotta say, was very entertaining. I didn't find a dull moment. I guess the star of the match has to be Nia Jax. They're still keeping her looking strong and dominant. She took this crazy powerbomb off the apron from all 4 women, actually, and nearly, well, it looked like she did land on her neck and then folded backwards. I don't want to say it was direct contact with the neck, but it happened so fast, and again, the camera angles weren't in the right spot. But she eventually did roll backwards, and she was out of it for a little bit, but came back in as she was unscathed and continued the match. So kudos to Nia Jax for taking that spot. We normally don't see her take big, impactful spots like that. So I definitely cringed a little bit when she took that bump. But in the end, it took Alexa Bliss just to give Bayley. Surprisingly, Bayley took the fall here, and Alexa Bliss retains the women's championship. I say surprisingly because Bayley just returned. She had this tremendous ovation in her hometown last Monday night on Raw, and even then, when announced that she was being included into the Fatal 5-Way, just amazing that, wow, Bayley took the fall, not Emma as many predicted or expected, or not even Sasha Banks. But either way, Bayley is a team player and took the fall, and Alexa Bliss once again retains the women's championship. Now we get into the, well, not really the double main event, because there was one other match that was squeezed in between, so they can't really call it a double main event anymore. But anyway, Roman Reigns one-on-one with John Cena. Now, as many of you know and saw weeks building up to this match, all the back and forth trash talking, all the shoot comments that were made back and forth. Of course, not everyone got it or understood it, but definitely a match at a personal level. And like many others, I was expecting this match just to blow up right out of the gate, meaning the bell rings and these guys just ran into each other like a bunch of buffaloes or bulls or barbarians, whatever. No, they took their sweet ass time looking into the crowd, listening to every single chant, reacting to them, and having these, especially John Cena, having these ridiculous, god-awful facial expressions. Roman Reigns is just smirking, just standing there in his corner, and Cena looking around left and right in his corner. And all this before the bell even rings. And as me being part of the audience at home, wondering, let's go. I mean, you talked about him being the part-timer. You talked about him being not the guy and this and that. Yeah, a very slow start. At one point, the bell actually rings finally, and not even a minute. I couldn't really understand what the crowd was chanting, but it was enough for Cena to stop the match again and react, and leaves. I did pick up some deletion chants, so I guess Cena, whether I really doubt. I don't want to believe that this was part of the angle. Like, no, better yet, I don't want to believe that this was scripted. That Cena was told, just react to every single chant and just do whatever it is. If it's something that they chant that you can physically do, then just do it. I don't want to believe that because that just added more stalling of the match, and it did. Cena actually leaves the ring, walks up the ramp. He was nearly out of sight up until Roman followed him and then brought him back to the ring, and the match continued. I didn't find that part entertaining, but anyway, the match goes on. Not much to it. Cena hits Roman Reigns with about 4 attitude adjustments, including one off the second rope, the Super AA. And then at the end, he hits him with 2 back-to-back AAs. He hits one, and then he rolls him over, picking him up. And I want to say he got the idea, Cena did, or that thought of hitting one AA, and then you roll with it to pick him up again from the ground up and hit another one. And there was I believe there was a video on YouTube somewhere where a man was demonstrating how to pick up someone that's laying flat on the floor without using your back or your leg muscles, just to deadlift someone off the ground. You could just roll over him, lock one arm under his leg and lock the other one under his arm, and just scoop him up. Could be wrong, but I think it looks way too similar, not to have been where Cena got that idea from. But anyway, he does it again here. Cena does, and Roman kicked out of every single AA that Cena threw at him. On sorry, and it just took Roman Reigns to respond with a Superman punch, stunning Cena, and then speared him and got the 3 count. So the idea here is, well, that there's a few ideas here, or a few thoughts here. Cena is going away for a while. For those who haven't heard yet, he has landed a role, possibly a leading role, in the upcoming spin-off to the Transformers, that being a Bumblebee movie. Not to mention, he's involved with the Daddy's Home sequel, I believe it's called, with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell. And finally, right, Cena and Wahlberg get to do a TV, well, not TV, but get to do a movie together. And they're not playing brothers. They're not playing relatives, because their resemblance is so striking. But that, among other TV projects, and there may be another season of American Grit for next year, early next year, for its new season. So Cena's going away for a while, and for those of you who stuck around for Raw Talk, Cena all but broke down during his interview with Renee Young and Jerry Lawler that, well, pretty much in a nutshell, listen, I'm 40 years old. I don't know how much longer I could do this. So any opportunities that come my way outside of WWE, I will take it and do what I can whenever Vince McMahon needs me to come back and perform, or even if it's just a surprise comeback and do a promo or what have you. I'll do it, but then he'll continue on with his outside ventures. So I didn't see the actual interview or heard the audio, but apparently John Cena apologized about his comments he made towards The Rock many years ago when they had their feud in back-to-back WrestleManias. That once in a lifetime, that happened twice. That Rock was a part-timer. He went away. That it's not in his blood anymore. He doesn't have the passion. Blah blah blah, because he was doing movies and all this stuff. The ironic twist here is now Cena's in that position, realizing whether it's scripted or not. But I know a lot of passion went into those promos between the two. But now Cena is in that position. He's going away. He has gone away before, earlier in the year. Now he came back for this run for his free agent gimmick, SmackDown, and then Barry's Rusev, and now he's with Raw for now, and had this little month-long feud with Roman Reigns, and now he's going away. So I give Cena a little bit of credit. Again, I haven't heard that audio of that particular interview where he apologizes, but if that's true, then I'll give Cena a little bit more credit, and that he took his bow, even though it was never specified or imply that this is Cena's last hurrah or John Cena's last match or anything like that. But the fans, again, and I don't like using the term smart fans or the wise ones. Apparently smart enough to look into what's going on and whether they're rumors or not. We look into them, find out if they're facts, find out from the sources, and at the end of the day, I guess yeah, they are the smart ones. I may include myself in that group because I find myself on a daily basis looking for information from any source, maybe get confirmation if possible, but try to run with it, even if it's just a rumor, and just throw it out there. But in this particular case of John Cena, he is going away. For how long, no one knows yet. Possibly to next year's WrestleMania. I'm sure he'll stick around between now and then. He'll show up on occasion. But as far as having another feud anytime soon, probably not. But Roman Reigns got the win. And as tradition, I guess, is the torch being passed, despite the crowd reaction. Roman Reigns leaves Cena in the ring alone. There's chants of "Thank you, Cena." Not much, but there were enough to come through across the camera microphones and pick it up on television. And Cena literally takes a bow. Gets out of the ring, walks over to one young child in the audience there ringside. Has, I guess, a private moment there with the child and hands him over his armband, walks over to the other side and greets all the fans, but eventually walked up the stage. And I don't know if the producers of the video, I'm not sure if the production team intentionally faded down the crowd noise, or it was just the natural sound of what's happening in the arena. But Cena gets to the top of the ramp, stops, does an about face, and he does his traditional salute to the crowd. And this had no reaction. The crowd didn't raise their voices or not even booed. Even there were some before the match even ended, and a little bit after the match. But there was no reaction when John Cena saluted the crowd. Again, I'm not sure if the guys in the production truck decided to lower the crowd noise or what happened, but it was just really strange. Normally, it does get a reaction when he's coming out for the first time in the arena or when he's leaving the ring like that. But oh well, we'll see John Cena real soon. And then the match that not everyone, but a lot of people did honestly forget. There were a few comments in Facebook and Twitter, like, "Oh yeah, there's a cruiserweight title match. We completely forgot about this." And it's a damn shame too, because it's squeezed in between the two main events, the two most look forward to matches of the night. And I thought that was a mistake, but again, I'm not in charge. So it's Enzo Amore taking on Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship, and it didn't take long for a lot of the fans to react to Enzo Amore's ring attire. And it's out there. If you look for it, you'll find it. It's compared to Beetlejuice. It's compared to Miley Cyrus. And there are multiple side-by-side comparisons already online. So if you ever want to find it, you'll see it. But I believe the commentators even mentioned, announced that, look, oh, he's wearing his Beetlejuice outfit. And during Raw Talk, Enzo did mention, like, it was designed that way for me to look like Beetlejuice. But anyway, match itself wasn't all that great. The majority of it was controlled by Neville, and it took towards the end there, Neville to throw Enzo into the timekeeper's area, and the referee's taking forever to count to 10. We did see a couple of times that Neville would break the count, not breaking the count by coming out of the ring, but walking to the referee, and the ref would start his count over again. So, for some reason, Enzo takes the Cruiserweight Championship belt. He starts holding it up in the air, taunting Neville, but Neville wouldn't bite. He wouldn't leave the ring. So Enzo brings the belt into the ring, and again he's waving it. He's waving it around, and gets into a position where he's threatening to hit Neville with it. The referee stops, says stops. You're not doing that. Put it down. Give me the belt. Give me the title. So eventually Enzo gives in, hands over the championship to the ref. The referee walks away to give the belt back to the timekeeper, but at this point, Enzo takes full advantage. Here comes Neville trying to, I guess, either collar elbow tie up or get Enzo into a headlock, but Enzo's immediate reaction was a dick kick. Yeah, the man who brought the sauce kicked another man in the sack and rolled him right up. Referee turns around, 1, 2, 3, and Enzo Amore is your new Cruiserweight champion. A lot of people didn't like this, considering what he just got off angle-wise with Big Cass, and he was being tossed all over the place. There was no possible way that Enzo was going to get a victory with Cass anyway. And then this past Monday night on Raw, you saw Braun Strowman literally run over him because Braun Strowman decided to let off some steam leading up to his match. And you would think like, well, okay, here we have a nearly 7-foot guy taking out a cruiserweight like that. What chance does Enzo Amore have of winning? Dick kick, roll him up, 1, 2, 3. We move on. Then it was the main event for the Universal title. Brock Lesnar defending against Braun Strowman. It was a match that needed to be, but the ending not so much. So, as expected, Strowman is dominating Brock Lesnar, even though at times Lesnar would get a German suplex in, only for Strowman to pop up at the beginning and chokeslam Lesnar. And they would go back and forth. They would take it outside, and Lesnar would take a couple of power slams from Strowman, but he'll kick out. Eventually, Lesnar would hit second, third, and fourth. I think up to 7 German suplexes altogether, and each one slowed down Braun Strowman as he would try to get up. So that was I found that very interesting, very telling that it's taken him that long to get up as each German suplex is applied. And there were 2 attempts from Lesnar for an F5, and the story there was he couldn't get him up. He couldn't pick up Braun Strowman. The first attempt was he does get him up, but Lesnar's back gives out and he collapses. The second time, Strowman was able to escape and hit him with another power slam. And at the end, Lesnar gets him up with ease, mind you. 1 F5, 1, 2, 3, it's all over. So if you haven't by now seen a pattern, and the last one was with Samoa Joe, the build up, the trash talking back and forth, that I'm not afraid of you, I'm in your face. On all of that happens on Raw. Then we get to the pay-per-view itself. Lesnar will either be dominated or it's 50-50, and the challenger hits the finishing move, or if it's a submission, it'll be applied on Lesnar, and he escapes, or he kicks out, or there's a rope break or something where the challenger doesn't win. And all Brock Lesnar has to do is 1 F5, 1, 2, 3, have a good night. If that's the case, it's like this match was in the end, especially. It was just really underwhelming. It was so built up that you would think there was being a class. Not everyone expected Strowman to win the match, but have a convincing match where even if Lesnar hits you with 1 F5, you might have a chance of kicking out or at least lay on the rope. But it's obvious and it's clear that Brock Lesnar's F5 is being protected heading into more than likely WrestleMania. If this is the pattern that's going to be ongoing, and whoever the next challenge is going to be for Brock Lesnar, maybe at Survivor Series, then this is the kind of match you're going to expect, and definitely the kind of ending to expect. If it's true that the end game here is to have Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 34, and finally give Roman Reigns that nod and say he really is the guy and he's the champion. Roman Reigns, the way he's been booked and his promos, the way he cuts, if that keeps going, no one's going to accept him. Yeah, sure, you do have your fans out there, you do have your supporters, but the mass majority is against it. They don't see him as the guy. They don't accept the fact that he's claiming it as his yard, and so on and so forth. But I don't want to get into another rant about that. But that's the idea right now. That's the buzz all over the internet, that this is what Vince McMahon wants out of this whole thing. That the idea has always been, even though he's been there before, in a WrestleMania main event spot where he's winning the championship, but that wasn't enough. And I was like, okay, well, if you can get him over as with Triple H, or get him over with the Undertaker, then by God, we're gonna get him over as with Brock Lesnar. At this point in time, if there's no change in reactions from the audience, who's to say it's going to be any different? And we do get to Mania next year. Roman pins Lesnar for the title. Who's to say it won't be a similar reaction in New Orleans? There's still time to turn this around. That's all I got to say as far as Roman Reigns goes. Because this whole feud with John Cena, he was the heel, obviously. Calling Cena a bitch, saying that... matter of fact, this past week on Raw, even though it was edited out on a live feed, but Roman pretty much said, he loves it that John Cena talks a lot of shit. Those are heel tactics. He's being booked as a heel. Now tonight on Raw, he's going to be a guest on Miz TV. Now Miz was looked at as a hero last night at No Mercy. He's being the Hollywood guy, and as I mentioned earlier, during this match with Jason Jordan, he was looked at as the face and Jordan as the heel. So it'll be very interesting to see just on the reaction alone when Miz is introduced, and then in a moment later or so is Roman Reigns. But we'll see. Overall, I gotta say the first 2 hours were amazing, great matches, and the last three, including the double main event and the Cruiserweight title squeeze in between like a sandwich. What can I say? It wasn't bad, it wasn't good, and then you got to find that balancing line, and that's where I stand with it. But overall, No Mercy 2017 was a pretty good show. They announced that TLC will be Asuka's main roster debut. Very curious to know who her first opponent's going to be. And that will wrap it up. So, I don't know what else is going to happen for the rest of the year as far as WWE goes. There are a lot of possible angles, a lot of possible feuds being created on both Raw and SmackDown. So, be interesting to see when it comes back to, in 1 month time, it's going back to 2 pay-per-views a month, Raw and SmackDown. I believe that starts next month with Hell in a Cell and TLC. So get ready for some more crammed in storylines, angles, what have you. It's all going to happen very fast, very quickly. And honestly, as chaotic as it sounds and not too enthusiastic about it, I'm kind of looking forward to it so I can come down here and rant about it. So until next time, this is good old JM. And if you like what you hear, go ahead and click that like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you look into the description, I'm all over social media, and I'll try to get a couple more movie reviews up here and other reaction videos, but it's a work in progress, so thank you for your support and patience. Until next time, it's good old JM.